Okay, so dear Dharma practitioners, be comfortable yourself and relax your body. Keep your back straight, neck head straight in one line and your right palm on your left. So gently close your eyes and bring attention to this bell sound. And while you're focusing to the sound, mentally relax your body, relax your mind and relax your breathing with your thoughts. So do nothing extra. Just follow the sound, please. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Exalted One, the fully enlightened One. So, dear Dhamma practitioners, before we start our practice session, as usual, we'll take few minutes for ourselves to be very clear with the practice we do here. So, when it comes to meditation, we have to understand out of this whole practice, what we try to gain. So we try to develop our tranquility state. So the tranquility state, another way called the undisturbed mind, one-pointness, samadhi. So that is the very nearest goal that you can have. So from there we go to analytical, critical, analytical observation or the understanding, which you call the vipassana. So deeply, thoroughly, we recognize how things come to be as they are. But without tranquility mind, there are some people, they can do it. But when we practice, we go step by step. Then if there is a newcomer, if there is someone want to practice this from the beginning, then they can develop the path. So if there is someone can, without tranquility state, directly can go to analytical mind, then it is good for that person. So when it comes to this practice path, as you know, in the world, we recognize that everybody look for happiness, satisfaction, health, those kind of things. So on the surface level, we see that day by day, the world is become more successful in a certain way. But according to the Buddha's teaching, that is not the success that we should gain. So today we're going to talk about that. And when it comes to life, the very first thing we have to remember, we have to understand the very nature and the behavior of the mind and the life. So this environment, this outside world, is kind of like a deep jungle. So as you know, when it comes to a jungle, so it's underneath that, the deeper it is so dark. And there are a lot of unknown things. And at the same time, there is a danger that's there. But not only that in the jungle, there are good things also. Sometimes very rare medicine, the plants, herbal plants. And there are sometimes very valuable material things, very expensive woods, trees, and very rare, important animals. So then there is a dark side, and at the same time, there is a valuable side. So you just can't throw the jungle to completely the bad side, even though there is a danger. So you can't blame to that. Why? Because of that darkness, because of that deep covered jungle, there are certain things survive. It needs that. But the way we use it over, the way we take it, the way we understand it can change our point of view. So when it comes to the human life, the same. This society is like the jungle. And these machines and technology, it's kind of like a jungle. And in the ancient time, during the Buddha's time, and maybe one person met the Buddha and listened to some Dharma, and then they left and they never met the Buddha again. See that even that they met the Buddha, they had a conversation only one time, like Venerable Nalaka. And sometimes once a while they come to see the Buddha, and they had a conversation and they understood the Dharma and they left. But today, more than any other time, people know the sutras, the dharmas, and the many theories, abhidharmas, and many other Buddhist cultures, traditions, because they go to Google and they online, they're learning a lot of things. But still sometimes they can't get the real very essence of the Dharma. But that doesn't mean it is bad. It is good. There is something good also. So then, but the thing is, you can't blame to the science or the technology or the machines, but you have to remember the way you use it can change the result. So then always you have to look into yourself and see this observer, how it behaves inside. And our mind also the same. Our mind is kind of like a deep, dark jungle, forest, covered with the very unknown places. So like ourselves, sometimes we know a lot of things regarding the outside world, but we don't know about us. And sometimes when our behavior, still, even though we came half of the way in this life, the life, and sometimes you may experience for the very first time, some kind of things come to your mind, and you never had it in your life before. You never knew it is there with you. You never knew that kind of situations can appear inside your mind. You have to deal these kind of things in your mind. You never knew that. But see that how it's come. So like that, there are a lot of unknown things. Maybe tomorrow, day after tomorrow, by the time you will see that this mind can bring a lot of things, and it can be good things and it can be unprofitable things. But the thing that we have to know the very nature of the mind. And then always you have to have the power to use it for the right things. And that is one thing. So otherwise, most of time that we have seen, that how other people cry, we heard that. When people cry, we can hear. And sometimes when the people cry, when someone see that, they also cry. But most of time, deep down in our heart, we all cry. And sometimes we every day, 24/7, hear that crying, And more than that, whatever the things that we heard from the outside, people crying, deep down our heart. So you can't make it happen every day like this. You have to come to a point to get out of that and become more better person and bring the more success to yourself out of this practice and out of your life as a human being. Even when you die, when you born again, you have, rather than going down, at least you have to become a human being. And when you become a human being, you have to be a more better human being, not be the same like this human being. What's the point there? Don't be the same like, say, don't be the same like you, be a better person than who you are. And so for that, it's not going to happen itself. You have to have a certain kind of wisdom, that the effort, the point of view regarding your practice. Without that, it's not going to happen. So the very first thing that you have to remember then, not to be late. And there are some people in their life, it's a habit to be late for 1 minute. At home, for anything, at work, for anything, maybe 1 minute late. They know that, most of the time they say, can you give me 1 minute? Can you give me 1 minute? Wait 1 minute. I'll come there in 1 minute. So like that, they take 1 minute, kind of like, some people 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes. Very, very rare we say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but that 2 minutes is like rubber, elastic, plastic. When they say 2 minutes, it stretch, to 5 minutes, 10 minutes or like that. But just imagine when you're going to die, 1 minute is a kind of like a long time. So then when it comes to meditation, and don't delay even 1 minute. Within your practice, always try to be with your practice, be with your primary mental object. And that will develop deeper into the good result. So when it comes to success, and in the world, this is a very, very marketing word nowadays in every field. And people look for the success. And we see the people become very successful with their, financial situations, economy. And some people become very successful with the politics. And some people become very successful with their social life, in the many ways that they gain a lot of things around them. So most of time we think this success means gaining things towards us. But when it comes to Just imagine that you gain a lot of money and you become so rich. And but still sometimes you have a lot of money and then you invest so much money, bunch of money suddenly for, stock market or cryptocurrency, also kind of like that, something, believing that you can earn in a short time, big money. And how that even, you become so success and you have enough money, but how that person come to that point to invest that their all money, to double that money within 1 month, from where that come? So that means if there is a deeper greed, that greed, what happened when the greed is there, it ignites the ignorance. So even little bit greed, always, it never going to ignite your wisdom. Always the greed, the very next thing, it ignites the ignorance, make you blind. That's the power of the greed. And the other thing is the anger, hatred. Look at the world. We came through in this, when we look at our human history, and the very recorded and the history that we can see, because the 200, 500 years ago, people didn't have TV or this kind of internet or that kind of things. But now, we can see the very recorded history, what happened, even the Hiroshima, Nagasaki, we can see, that how that nuclear bomb, happened. And even though we see that everything, and the people still try to go in that way. The war is a kind of like something that, it doesn't matter whoever, without any identity, everybody suffer when it comes to the war. But still, how that people, repeat that again, even though they know what is the outcome. No one going to win. No one going to, take anything with them when it comes to the war. It destroys everything. There is no winner when it comes to the war. Everybody going to lose. But it's still, how that people come to that. Even with the, the brothers, sisters, friends, and family members, when it comes to anger, hatred, envy, no one can win that. There is no winning side when it comes to anger. Both sides going to lose. But still, how we keep repeating that? So then, entire world, even within ourselves and everywhere, little by little, everybody, contribute little bit to this hatred or the anger. And the anger also ignite the ignorance. When we get angry, it makes us blind. Out of the anger, you will never reach to the wisdom. So when it comes to then, the very success of our human life means what? Remember this. It is not the success that in the world that people measure out of the money or the social status. Your success means, if you are not going to disturb out of any situations or any people, if you can maintain yourself without ignite your greed, hatred, or the ignorance, you're going to become a successful person. It doesn't matter that you are poor or rich according to the social status. If you have that undisturbed mind, and out of that, whatever the bodily, verbally, mentally, actions or whatever you perceive with your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, if that perception not ignite your greed, hatred, or the delusion, you are a successful person. That's the measurement. That is the highest measurement, and that is the highest success that you can gain. So there are two ways that we can be happy. Out of the conventional life, you can become happy. So out of the conventional life, you can become successful. So out of this material or the wealth or the currency or the situations, the status, you can measure that. But the thing is, it is not going to take you to higher level, because it's kind of like always have ability to ignite your greed, hatred, and the delusion. So then nothing wrong that, but you have to understand what's the situation. Like as I mentioned, the deeper jungle example, you can't hate that, you can't resist it, but the way you use it, it is out of your own understanding. So then, if you have ability to maintain yourself, your life, so whatever other people do, whatever other people say, in the very conventional life, it is very matter. But when it comes to the spiritual development, you have to have a very undisturbed mind, tranquility mind, with the situation or whatever the things that you have to maintain without developing the greed, hatred, or the delusion. So then out of that, what happens? So in the conventional life, out of that conventional success, you gain the happiness. No? So that is something. And there is health also. And out of this, the science, technology, medicine, in a certain level, you can gain some kind of health. But that health also going to end with the mental health. It's going to, all that material health going to depend according to the mental health. That's why nowadays, most of time, the most of doctors say it is important, exercise important, but at the same time, meditation also important, yoga also important, doing some physical activities and interference and doing social activities, sharing your life with others, it's important. So now you have to understand these two pillars. In the conventional life, you can develop that happiness and health and the success. But the very danger with that, it always can ignite your greed, hatred, and the delusion. But when you have this spiritual development inside you, if you have out of tranquility state, because the tranquility state, the place that it's not going to ignite your greed, hatred, and the delusion. If you don't have that tranquility mind, calm, relaxed, comfortable mind yourself, if you always cry inside you for you, you can't have that undisturbed mind. It's always going to become disturbed. With reasons you can be disturbed, and sometimes without reasons you can be disturbed. So then how you can gain this tranquility mind, and how you can develop it in you and gain this ultimate success to yourself? Because by praying, by wishing yourself, hoping, or asking, or believing it's not going to happen. So this understanding, you need to develop that success inside you. That's why practicing meditation is important. It is not something that you carry inside your mind. It is not you believing some dogmas. It is not going to come out of the praying. We all know that. This the praying for unknown things is very old than us. That tradition very old, but we all knows we never got anything. Everybody got things out of the human connections, but still we don't care that. We most of time, don't put value on the human life, but we like to put values on the statues, unknown things, miracles, lights, so that kind of things, people, and even for animals, people worship. But sometimes when we say, can you worship your parents? No, they hate their parents. They hate their brothers, sisters. They hate their friends. They hate their neighbors. They hate their, other countries, neighbor countries. They hate. They go for fight and destroy. But then, end of the day, they go to their private room, and they worship the animals. Unknown, or maybe unknown things they pray, and they go and destroy the human life. That's the reality. So that's why, ignorance is in front of our nose, not it's far away. So, or if you look your own life, how you become happy, from who can bring the joy to you? If you feel sad, worried, disappointed, why it happened? Most of time, remember, out of that, more than any other things, it come out of the human words, not even the actions. When people do things, sometimes we don't care that much. But when people say things, it go to deeper into us. See, the words that much powerful. And all the Buddhas, the Jesus, Prophet Muhammad, all other spiritual leaders, whoever told that things, it is in the world, it is still the, it's immeasurable. So more than that, whatever the bodily activities they have done, the verbal actions they have done is so powerful. So for you, the same. So that's what you have to understand. So it's all come out of the human behavior. So keep it in the first place. And that is where then you become very careful, because then you also become very careful more than what you do. You become, careful regarding what you're going to say to other people, your husband, wife, children, friends, and family members, and that understanding is very necessary. So how you can build this wisdom in, because just by believing it's not going to come. So for that, there is a special way that you have to practice. Just by thinking yourself, you can't go this journey. So that's why we come to the very primary mental object, to observe our own inhalation, exhalation. And even that inhalation, exhalation, what you see is not the real inhalation, exhalation when you go into deeper. Only practice point of view, I just share some information, but when you practice, you should not look into that. You have to be free from that information. So how you know something as inhalation or something as exhalation? So most of time, Be very careful. The most of time when you come to meditation, it is not your deeper observation. It is the voice from your mind. That's the thing. It is not crystal clear 100% recognition. It is your mind say, this is inhalation, this is exhalation, this is exhalation, this is inhalation. It's like that. And so by the time sometimes, and you can't recognize what is inhalation, what is exhalation. When you go into deeper, your inhalation and exhalation always not going to be the same. There is a major difference when it comes to inhalation, exhalation. So when you go with the sensation, the most of time, the very first recognition, like 10-day retreats, 7-day retreats. So like that, when a situation comes, we have discussions and we ask from practitioners after 3 days or the 4 days, how you recognize inhalation, exhalation, and what is the experience you will, then we can tackle that, where the mind go. So when the inhalation happens, it always cooler than the exhalation. That is one way you recognize that, one sign. Exhalation always warm because it's come from deeper, from this inside the body. It's warmer than the inhalation. And for a beginner, most of time, for a beginner, if that beginner doesn't have a kind of like a heavy, overweight body, then the inhalation become kind of like a very, smooth. So, but averagely, if you have a, the weight doesn't match with your age or the body, and then what happened? Your inhalation going to become little longer. So the exhalation is little bit shorter. When it comes to very healthy body, your inhalation and exhalation, the both going to become this kind of like going to have the same length for most of time. But it's not going to be always. But as example, inhalation 1, 2, 3, 4, inhalation, exhalation 1, 2, 3, 4. So the same length. But averagely, like most of us, our inhalation is longer, exhalation is shorter. So what happens then, inside, that what we inhale, not going to exhale completely. So because of that, what happens in day-to-day life, that the lactic acid stuck inside our body. And by the time it is not for a 1 day, 20 years, 50 years, 60 years, when it happened, it's kind of like that, So the most of the unnecessary, the cramp, pain, that you lose your mobility. So these kind of things happen. And the blood circular system not work properly. So that's kind of thing. So when it comes to very clear mind, it's not the voice from the inside. It is by recognition, you always see the difference in between the inhalation and exhalation. And even the inhalation, one by one change. It's not going to be the same. Longer, shorter, heavy, soft, warm, cold, so like that. The exhalation, that always is also going to be the same. But when it comes to the very tranquility state, what happens? That your inhalation, exhalation, that the both going to come to the same length and the same weight, and the body calm down deeply, and then, and out of that, what happened? The inside heat disappear, and then your inside body also become like this outside nature. And it synchronizes that your heat, motion, liquidity, and hardness, inside, outside, no difference. And you start, that is why you deeply get into the tranquility state, and no difference in between the breathing, inhalation, exhalation. The length, the weight, the heaviness, the heat, that's everything going to become balanced. So remember, you can't do it. Okay, don't try to do it. Just I give some little information deeply, to understand what is happening. So another thing is that your body deeply interconnected with the breathing, and then there is no change happening within inhalation and exhalation and the body. And the thought pattern, now no any judgmental or inside voice or something like that. And deeply it also connected to the primary mental object, and then the body, mind, the breathing going to become one. So then when the body, mind, breathing become one, can you recognize from your mind inhalation or exhalation? You know, when the body, listen this very carefully, when the body, mind, breathing, so before we go into that, when the inhalation, exhalation become the same heat, same length, so in that way, in a certain level, that inhalation, exhalation is kind of like not disappearing. It happens, but it becomes very subtle, sharp. And then the body, the mind, breathing come together, and in that way, anymore by mind, you can't, it's kind of like a recognize, or you can't get into separation. This is inhalation, this is understanding, or kind of like this all become one. So that is the deeper level of tranquility state. And once you come to that level, what happens? So this is very important. So as you know, out of our five aggregates, form, feeling, perception, volition, and recognition. And as you know, the I object come together, I consciousness arise. So you see something, and out of that, your I and I object, I consciousness arise. And then after that, the feelings arise. Out of the feelings, perception or the volitions, that all the memory connected to that. So in that level, what happens? What you saw, not going to experience inside you. What you hear is this very carefully. What you hear with this ear and the sound, and this come together, ear consciousness arise. So the ear consciousness ignite the ear feelings. So the feelings have a deeper connection to ignite your memory. So when the feelings go and ignite the memory, what happens? The sound you heard already disappeared. So then what you experience inside you is not what you heard from outside. So the nose also the same. This nose and the nose object or the smell from outside, when these two come together, the nose consciousness arises. And when the nose consciousness arises, what happens? It go and ignite the feelings. And when the feelings there, what happen? It ignite the memory. And out of that, the consciousness arise and recognition arise. So that recognition is not the smell that you had in the very first level, before the feelings. And tongue, so this tongue is here, the food or the whatever the object there, and this come together, it ignites the tongue consciousness. It is a brand new thing. That tongue consciousness is not happened before or after. It happened when these two things come together. And then what happened, that two things separate, that tongue consciousness not going to be there, but it become feelings. And when it's become feelings, what happened, that feelings ignite your memory. And then out of memory, that what you experience as your consciousness is not that what happened on the top of your tongue. So the body the same. So this body is here, the body object, and out of that, the body consciousness arise. So that body consciousness ignite the feelings. So when it ignite the feelings, that what you experience this outside disappear. It's not there anymore. Because that feelings not respond to this one, the outside body object. The feelings always have deeper relationship to the memory. And then you go with the memory. And out of that, you get neither good feeling, bad feeling, neutral feelings. Not actually according to the experience. The mind the same. When the day you understand that, you become very careful about you. Because now you know what you experience in you is not what that outside that things happening. You experience something completely brand new. It needs the outside things, but it mixes with the memory or the mental formations or the cankers. And then what happening in you when it come to your deeper recognition or the understanding with with mixing with the memory and the mental formations or the cankers, that the whatever happened outside already gone. It disappeared. But you live with the memory. In this very moment, the same. That what you think in you, not you heard now. It's you entangled with the memory. When the day you understand that, you completely get out of the disturbed mind. Because you know, because most of the time what we think, we have the greed, hatred, and the delusion, and we get disturbed out of these outside things. That is what we think. But we get disturbed out of our own inside cankers or the mental formations or the memory. That is the secret. So people talk about, to be successful, there is a secret. So spiritual success, this is the secret. You can write a book and make a documentary next day, and you can be so rich. So remember that. Because that is what you have to understand. And deeply when it comes to this path, that is what you understand. Because once the day that you understand that, it's going to become an irreversible wisdom for you. And it maybe take time, it's because it's a deeper, very complex mechanism. But once you understand that, you transform. Because there's nothing else to go deeper to understand. That is the only thing you have to see. That's why what we see as suffering is on this outside world is totally different. That when it comes to the deeper the change happening within us, that tangling to that our memory. Because the change means what? That what you experience, I object, I consciousness, and it transformed to I feelings. It is completely something different. Not the same thing you saw or you heard or you smell, you ate or you feel. It's something completely different. So once you understand that change, and you're not going to have the cravingness, desire out of that whatever come to your feelings. You're not going to hold into, or you're not going to resist that with the good feelings or the bad feelings or the neutral feelings, because you know that feelings means what? It tangle with the memory, happen inside you, nothing to do with the outside. But when the day comes for you to recognize that deeply, when it comes to that awareness, you become mindful regarding this process, what is happening in you. So that mindfulness will help you to when something comes to your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, to experience it without tangling to the memory. It's called the direct perception. Without getting help out of the memory, without being biased to memory, without asking the permission from the memory, you can recognize something. In that recognition, what happens? That recognition, there's no such a things to hold as my experience. Because now you see this process, and it's a moment by moment is releasing. So once you have that, there's no way the out of any situation, the greed going to happen, the anger going to happen, the ignorance going to happen. The very reason for that, without memory, without past or the future thoughts, there is no way that the greed going to happen. Try. Without past or the future thoughts, there is no way you can have hatred or the anger. Try. Try, you can get angry without, any past thought, the experience, or without thinking about any future things. You can try, give a try and see. And when that two things not happening, there is no way that the ignorance can ignite. So that is the path to become successful. So when you have that success, so you can have a pleasant journey. It doesn't matter where you go. So that is what out of this practice we can gain. So with that, let's get into practice a little bit now. So your right palm on your left and neck, get straight in one line and be comfortable with your posture. So bring your attention to your body and scan head to toes yourself and say Supateva, or may I be well and happy 3 times. And take a moment and think. We gathered here in this moment to practice this ancient meditation technique. All the Buddhas, all the enlightened masters followed this path and achieved wisdom. So we also gathered here to accumulate that knowledge. In this moment with this sitting, may my body become more comfortable, may my breath be more smooth, may no difficulties come to me, may all the success come to me. Also think for a moment, this is the last moment we are spending in this very lifetime, and detach your mind from all your past memories and as well as any kind of future thoughts. Just try to remain in the present moment, observing the sensation of your inhalation and exhalation. So in the beginning, deeply and gently breathe in, breathe out 3 times, please. and find the sensation. And allow your inhalations, exhalations happen itself and follow the sensation. So don't listen to the voice inside your head and do nothing extra. Bring your attention to your body, please. Observe your posture. We cultivate loving kindness and compassion in our heart and radiate it as a light through entire your compound, village, city, state, country, world, around this universe. Also as far as you can through galaxies, other planets, stars. Reminding yourself like this. With clear intention, mentally repeat after me. May all living beings in this universe be well and happy. May everyone be happy and safe. And may their hearts be filled with joy. May all living beings live in security and in peace. Beings who are frail or strong, tall or short, big or small, visible or not visible, near or far away, already born or yet to be born. May all of them dwell in perfect tranquility. Let no one do harm to anyone. Let no one put the life of anyone in danger. Let no one out of anger or ill will wish anyone any harm. Expand the loving kindness and compassion beginning from your heart. Forward. Visualize yourself and send it as a light. To your backside. To your left side. And to your right side. Downward. And upward. To all 6 directions at once. Like the moon, the sun, spread the light, spread the energy without any condition, without any limitation, without any resistance, or without any judgment. Let your heart to shine with the loving kindness and compassion from the bottom of it to the highest. Wishing yourself, may all living beings in this universe be well and happy. Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So first of all, we offer this practice to the great qualities of the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. And also by the power of this meritorious deed, may all of us attain to the supreme bliss of Nibbana. May all your guardian angels and deities will receive these merits and increase their longevity and protect all of you from any kind of planetary influences or any ill effects. Ittavata chami sampadam punya sampadam sabbe deva numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Imaya dhammanu dhamma patipattiya buddham pujemi dhammam pujemi sangham pujemi. Attaya imaya patipattiya jati jara vyadhi maranam paribunyisami. Idhamme punya kammang asavakkaya vanyotu sabba dukkha pamuncatu. Bless you.